small county, they did. So I really appreciate all of those of you who did run. And I know Pat Shipley was one, and she had a meeting that went till 6, so she'll get on as soon as she can. Who else ran on? We had Tripp. Anybody else on here that ran for an office? Well, thank you. Thank you for everybody who ran or who supported. So tonight is not going to be a whine or bitch session. I'm going to put that right out there. No crying in your beer. Go ahead and drink it if you want to, but no crying in it. The main purpose of tonight is to learn from each other how this last cycle went, what we learned, what we are taking from what we learned to move forward. And I did put in the agenda that what to do next time, and the next time started November 9th. So keep that in mind. So you see the agenda is there if you don't have it in front of you. 3 basic things we're going to start with when somebody talks. What worked for you, what didn't work, and what ideas did you gain from your experience that you next time, which was, like I said, November 9th. So this part need not be long. I ask that it not be long. I ask that you just give your points, and then we have time to do what are we going to do next time. Well, actually, there's another issue. Next steps is actually the number 4 item on here. So I'll change that. Next steps, how we're gonna do it next time. Next steps for this group. So what do we do with the information that we're gathering today? Okay, so I'm gonna model how you might want to do this. Being a former teacher, this is kind of what we'll do. Okay, for me, what worked. And first of all, I'm just going to say I'm from Montgomery County, but I'm not the only one from Montgomery. So I want everybody to just kind of take their own perspective. What worked for you that stood out for you? Okay, so for me, I did some phone calling to get the vote out, and we also went door knocking a very brief time with Twink. But what came out of that for me is some relationship building, because we were able to get some email addresses that we did not have for people and some phone numbers to add to our county list so they can get all our emails. And so what resulted for me is that I want to get our precinct ambassadorship program going again. We have the new precincts. I feel like that is something that we need, that I would like to see happen. So what didn't work for me, one thing that I noticed is that there were no articles in our local papers. I don't know how your local papers are, but there were no articles in the local newspapers about the candidates, about the gun amendment, even though I called them and asked them to do that. So next time, which is like right now, like I said, I want to start pushing local newspapers to cover issues. All the issues that come out from the State House, they don't all have to be letters to the editor. They could be putting articles in. Okay, that's what I did. So now I would ask you to raise your hand when you're ready to contribute to what worked, what didn't work, and your ideas for next time. Mary McAdams is first.
Okay. What worked for Ankeny was our office, hands down, our office, no doubt. It became a church for us. What did not work was this Impactive app. So House Truman and Senate Majority bought this very expensive app called Impactive, and we were supposed to use it for relational organizing, and they never trained us on how to use it. So they spent a bunch of money and we never used it. And what I'm looking forward to for next year, Barb, I thought there was 3 things. I thought the third one is what intrigued you. I can't remember how you phrased it. It would be hustle. So we had the money in the bank. We had when it was time to chase ABRs or chase ballots, we decided to go ahead and spend $1,000 each time. and do hustle, because we were able to hustle 6,000 text messages. Ankeny's pretty big. 6,000 people had cell phone numbers, so we were able to hustle them. I would say raise money just for hustle if you can, y'all, because then we had to phone bank. We had to call the other 6,000 who didn't have cell phone numbers. So those are my three things. The office worked. Impactive did not work, mostly because Senate Majority and House Truman didn't push it on us. And then save money for hustle. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mary. Jackie, you're up.
Okay. What worked? Texting. I love texting, and it gave me a lot of push the morning of the election, because I got a bunch of texts back of thank you, of course, you know, yes, I'm voting blue, blah blah blah, from local people. So that was good. What also worked was working with my neighboring counties. We went in with Adair and Union, and we did radio ads. And we were also very grateful that Cass County did radio ads. It included our House District person, even though she's not their House District person, but they did it because their radio station goes into my county. So it not only helped us and helped our candidates that we were trying to support, because we had a House and Senate district candidates, but it also helped foster that sense like we get from this collaborative of we're in this together. So those were huge, incredible parts. What didn't work was we have a lot of bad house phones. We called everybody who we couldn't text, and we still have a whole lot of bad phone numbers, even though we've been working the last 2 years to get rid of some of them. So I'm looking forward to learning and anything I can from the rest of you.
Thank you, Jackie. The floor is open for somebody who wants to contribute their takeaway. Candela?
I really wanted to hear a bunch of ideas because I haven't really thought about the things that work. I haven't really brainstormed and prepped my own stuff in process. So I may want to take another round later if there's time. Some things that worked. We heard about Pottawatomie County doing a drive-through signature drive, and we modeled that also in Mills County, and that worked phenomenally. Some other thing that worked with relational organizing, I see Amy Stickrod's on here, and Amy Stickrod freaking worked. Like, she just worked her butt off. So like having an Amy is an amazing thing, but to go through kind of like go through your phone and literally going through and saying like, hey, can you show up for this? Hey, can you come to this? Hey, can you sign this petition? Hey, so literally going through and relational organizing worked up to a point. Some other things that worked was I created just a Word document that said literally Franken Grassley, and I circled Franken, Melton, Melton Feenstra, and I circled Melton, and I just literally laid out the candidates with my recommendations of who I was voting for. Went all the way down the Mills County ballot, the Fremont ballot, and the Pottawatomie County ballot, and I felt like that was super helpful. I got a lot of feedback that was super helpful. Some things I saw other counties do include Story and Pottawatomie County. They actually had a like a flyer that they mailed out. I don't know if they mailed it out to everybody or not, but it included all their down ballot races and gave information on who to vote for. And I felt like that worked really well. As I was out door knocking, I also saw an advertisement that was it was from the Republicans, but it put the two candidates side by side and painted all of what they would see as negative qualities about our people, which though it was their strategy and I was not happy with seeing it, I felt like it was an effective strategy and want to replicate it for the good guys next year. Let's see some things. So I finally got on van for Mills County in October. I feel like that would have been way more helpful way sooner, but that I think using van, learning how to use van and using it is absolutely effective. I learned about the how to chase absentee ballots. I did not know about how to chase absentee ballots also until like I don't know, November 1st or October 30th or something like that. But learning that strategy is very powerful and is something I definitely want to replicate for future election cycles. Okay, something that didn't work. So I just gave my props on relationship building or relational organizing. Relational organizing works really well up to a point, but then it also got to a point where if I were going to contact my 5 people are already here and I'm one of their 5 people. And so like if, for example, my 5 people are, I'll pick Jackie and Mary and Amy and Jill Fender and Mary McAdams. So I've got 2 Marys there, or Gregory Christensen. But like if my 5 people are already in the room and I am one of their 5 people, we are kind of doing relational organizing in a circle, and we need to extend beyond our circle to get out there into the other relationals. I did not get as good at getting into the newspapers as I wanted to, although I saw that as an effective strategy. I also, Vanessa, I forgot Vanessa's last name. Shannon knows Vanessa. But Vanessa said so many times, get into the gossip networks, and I'm not in the gossip networks right now. But finding out, so that's another wish for next cycle, is how to get into the gossip networks of our communities, who is in the gossip networks, and how do we connect with those folks who are already in the gossip networks to get the gossip out more effectively and more widespread beyond my little, like I say, my little circle, but if my circle of 5 is already in the room, we need to get beyond that spread out. And that's all I got for now.
Thank you, Candela. You
Absolutely.
can raise your hand at the bottom of the screen with the reactions so that we know who's ready to contribute. I'll say, if no one's raising their hand right now, I'll say one thing, and that's about the phone banks that I didn't appreciate. We had one for our county, but it wouldn't, I called a bunch of people, but then when I went back to try and call some more people, it was bringing some of the same people up. And I left messages with these people on their phone. I do not want to call them again until everybody else is called. So that's just something that I am hoping we can work out with phone banks. That's all I have to say right now. Anybody else have something they want to say worked, didn't work, and an idea for next time? Okay, Mary Weaver.
Hi, Barb.
Hi, Mary.
And everybody, good evening. Would you talk a little bit about your precinct, what you just said earlier when we were starting, that you were going to start doing your precinct? What was
Ambassador.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Well, that's been from a couple of years ago, and Vicki and I piloted it in our precinct. And we divided our precinct up so that we were making calls and letters and contacting people in our precinct to keep them up to date about what was going on. That's basically what it was, and inviting them to our socials, to finding out what their issues were. Vicki, anything else to add on that?
The only thing I would say, it was, we also tried to share voting information with people because it was right around the presidential election time. So how could they vote in person? How could they vote absentee? We left our phone numbers, we emailed, if people had questions, we tried to be that go-to source that had the correct information for them.
Yeah.
I kind of felt right after Barb and I we worked on it for about a year. And then right after we did that, they changed our precinct. And so we kind of let it drop this time around. I agree with Barb. I think it was effective. I think we need to go back to it. It didn't take a lot of time. We kind of coordinated when we would contact people and what our message would be.
Yeah, and it's, it's a neighbor to neighbor type thing. So,
right. We shared with people where we lived, our address. So especially living out in the country, people could, like, okay, we live on 210th Street. Oh, they're only a couple miles from us. We shared our phone numbers, our email addresses. And I think we did make some connections with people that
Mhm.
Didn't have it before.
Right. Vicky, did you have something you wanted to share about what worked, what didn't work, and ideas for next time? I know you do have one.
So, yeah, I was just, one of the things, what worked in Montgomery County, we've done this 2 cycles in a row now, is we put up a billboard. And I do think it's effective. We put it on Highway 34. It was very simple this time. It just said something along the lines, protect democracy, vote Iowa Democrats. The other thing that I would really like to encourage all of you to think about is, I have been a poll watcher at our courthouse now for 2 cycles. Watching the opening, is that what you want me to talk about, Barb?
No,
What?
for absentee ballot, yeah.
Right, for absentee early voting ballots. And one of the things that I just have discovered is, and nothing nefarious, but they were not doing that procedure correctly. And it became a little bit tense this time because we had a new county auditor. And where the issue comes in is, what do they do with ballots that are questionable? So if you know anything, I'll try to give you a quick overview. If you know anything about how the absentee ballots work, they come in big ballot, when you go into your county auditors, you put it in a ballot box. Those ballot boxes then go to where they're going to be counted. They open those boxes one at a time. In our county, they divide them into piles, give them to the poll workers, and they start going through them to double check for signatures, dating, and sealing. All 3 of those things have to be correct before they can count that ballot. And if there's something that's not correct, they put the ballot aside. In our county, they put it in a questionable box, and then they go and they deal with those at some time in that day. Well, what happened in the presidential election, we had over 3,000 absentee ballots, and we had about 60 questionable ballots, and they didn't deal with any of those ballots until the end of the night after the polls closed, which is not the correct procedure. They need to be dealing with those ballots throughout the day, because you as a poll worker for your party have the right to see the names and addresses on those ballots and then call. So like this time we had about 800 ballots. There were 12 of them that they disqualified. So I had to argue with the county auditor that I had a right to see those names and addresses so I could look them up and determine if they were Democrats. I'm not going to call Republicans. And then we have the right to call them and say, your ballot has been disqualified. You need to go to your local precinct and ask for a provisional ballot, and so you can vote. Otherwise, your vote is not going to be counted in this election.
Mhm.
And it was a little tense for a while. We got it worked out. Everyone knows the procedure now, but so going forward in the future, what my recommendation to my county is that our county chair go in anywhere between 30 and 60 days prior to the election, sit down with the county auditor and say, what is the process you want us to do? Because we also had a problem. One of our poll watchers was not allowed into the precinct. And it was kind of a mistake on our part. She didn't have the paperwork that she should have had with her to show that she was a certified poll watcher. So if you sit down 30 to 60 days with your county auditor prior to that, go through the process, say, what do you want us people to have to be certified poll watchers? They need to come with the document. They need to come with an ID, whatever it is. And then what is the procedure that you are going to allow to happen to rectify and cure disqualified ballots? So that was just a learning process for us. I think by us being there, it forces everyone to be at the top of their game. There's no discussion then later on that something isn't done correctly. I also think if we keep going, it's going to force the Republicans to start showing up as well, because they're going to get frustrated that we're curing all our ballots and all of their ballots are getting disqualified because they're not being cured. So that would be my recommendation for next time.
Thank you, Vicki. Sarah Smith, you have your hand up. This is for people who've come in late, what worked, what didn't work, ideas for next time. And then when we're done with that, we'll talk about what are we going to do about some of this information.
I just wanted to add that Twink and I also did the precinct ambassador job following the lead of Barb and Vicki. So we did precinct 4 in Montgomery County. And it was long enough ago that I can't really remember if I was actually able to talk to very many people. We mailed them postcards first, I think, or letters or something. And then we did some calling, and we also sent postcards not too far ahead of the election.
If anybody wants our whatever we did, I can look it back up. I look it up and let you know the process we went through.
So I think it was worth doing. And Twink especially talked to a lot of people that she didn't know and got to know them and talk to them several times. Isn't that right, Twink?
Mm-hmm.
The phone numbers is the problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is the
that's
problem. And then
And a lot-
COVID hit, so it's, we all suffered through that.
Yeah.
So Twink, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see this billboard, but it was a statement on the highway that says we're here, and this is what it says, which I felt like was a really strong statement that goes along with the national protect our freedoms, defend democracy, vote for Iowa Democrats. And I think that was well worth our money just to say that we're here. It cost, I think, about $800 for a month. And I don't know if it's still up, but sometimes
It is. It was yesterday.
sometimes they don't have another ad to replace it. And so even if it's not the election right now, it's still a statement about us. The other thing that I was going to talk about was I saw a really nice ad in the Red Oak paper that had all the Republicans that they wanted you to vote for, the pictures of them and names and what their office was. And I thought that we should have done that in the local papers to advertise
That's a good idea.
There's a lot of people that still read the local paper, so
Yeah.
I think it's something we should do.
Thank you, Twink.
Yeah.
Chris Henning, you have your hand up. You'll have to unmute, Chris.
Okay, can you hear me? Yes, now can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So I'm here at City Hall with 4 of us, and we will have several other people joining us maybe during the time that we're here, because our regular meeting's tonight at 7 o'clock. So we decided we'd do 3rd district as well. Couple of things that worked really well for us. We found out midstream that radio advertising for our candidates was half the price that it was for our party. And so
What was half the price? Could you back up just a little maybe, Chris? There, try that.
okay, so that radio advertising, 30-second spots, instead of being $14 for the party, were $7 for the individual candidates.
Huh.
And we don't the candidates and let them do their advertising and ask them to talk to people not only about themselves in that 30 seconds, but to say, please vote. and that early voting had started. And we felt that that was a way better use of our money than the party directly doing those PSA kind of ads. And it got each of our candidates a chance to be on radio every day from the time that we decided that or learned that till the end. So that was good. We think that that helped with our voter turnout. We did also do ads that last month, and each time spoke about early votes and so forth, and when the polls were open. We had really good turnout for early vote, and actually the county had a pretty good turnout, over 60% for voting, which was good for midterms. The other thing that we found that was very, very helpful was Gregory's list of absentee ballots that had not been returned. And each of the precinct chairmen took their list. One did it in one fell swoop and got everybody within 2 days had on her list had turned in their ballots. So while we had problems with telephone numbers like we usually do, the landlines are just impossible. And like somebody else said, we know which ones are the cell phone numbers. When we texted, and when we called the cell phone numbers and left text messages, not voicemail, we got really good response. I did have a personal fun one that I used a text or a cell phone number. I knew it was a cell phone number, and I knew the person, and so I said that person's name and please go and vote and so forth and so on. And I got a text back saying, this is not Jay, and please stop. So I apologized profusely and ended up having a very good, like 5 or 6 texts back and forth with someone, I still don't know who it was, but who's had that number and had put up with it all season with somebody texting them, calling them, et cetera, which would have been frustrating, I can understand. Is there anything in my group here?
Let's see somebody's comment, and it's the law that all radio stations charge.
Yes, it is the law on radio stations. We just weren't aware of it. And it was fun that we were able to be able to donate to the candidates and let them do their own ads. It worked really, really well. We did have a fundraiser earlier and worked with both Guthrie and Dallas County to have a good turnout at a fundraiser, and we're able to multiply the funds for our House district. Of course, that didn't, it wasn't a good year for Democrats all across the state from the looks of things. So, and we were no exception on that one. I see Warren Varley has his name up. I'll stop now and we'll hear from somebody else. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Warren, you're up next.
Thank you. I would say the thing that worked best is what has always worked best, and that's knocking doors. It was just rather, you could tell the last couple of weeks that things were not going our way. It's hearing a lot of misinformation that was coming out on the TV and YouTube and Facebook ads. I agree with the use of texting. Get out the vote is so much easier being able to text than the old days when we had to make phone calls. And I think it's less annoying to people to get a text than a phone call. So there's that factor. You know, what didn't work is, I think I haven't looked at the numbers, but I think Iowa is not doing as well at getting young people to vote. You know, in the states where Democrats did well, the youth vote turned out, and that helped Democrats.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Warren. That's a good observation. Does anyone else have their input right now? I know that Pat Shipley wanted to share something. I don't know if she's.
We've got some hands up.
I don't see any hands up here. It's not
Yeah,
showing.
Julie Russell Stewart hasn't spoken.
It should show in order on mine since,
Yeah,
oh, you're
it's-
the host. Sorry.
It's there. Candela's there, and Julie hasn't spoken yet.
Okay, well,
Let Julie go first.
Candela has, so let's go with Julie. For some reason, I'm not seeing hands up, so, very
Hi,
interesting.
well, I do not have, even though I'm in Grundy County, I don't have information from Grundy County, and I hope to look into those numbers with Secretary of State's data soon. But one of the things that I had been doing was working for two other candidates. And one of them was in Iowa City, Eleanor Levin, and then Shelley, my friend down in Muscatine. But on the doors for Levin, we had a really great door knocking tool, which was created by the Johnson County Democrats. And it was, you know, a slate that you could give people that listed all our Democratic slate candidates, as well as specifically the districts in smaller type on it. And it also had a QR code that you could scan to get your polling location. And probably also the Johnson County Democratic website, and get those early voting locations too. And that was just such a winner on the doors, you know. Oh, this is great. You have all this for me to look at, and I can scan this with my phone. That will appeal to a lot of younger voters, obviously. And a lot of us older people know how to scan that too. So I thought that was a great tool. And Johnson County did hire their own organizers. So, you know, they were able to do that, to get ahead of everything. And that, I thought that was very successful, that part. So anyway,
Thank you, Julie.
that's about all I really wanted to say. I don't have my own county information at this time.
Well, thank you very much. And actually, I was on page 2, so you guys weren't showing up with your hands up. But I'm gonna go ahead and call on James, who hasn't talked yet. Candela, you know that, right? You're fine with that. Okay, James?
All right. So the two things that I thought were most effective, and effective considering we lost every race, but we worked with redistricting. We now, two of our districts pushed over into Marion County. So we worked with Marion County, Jasper County, Mahaska County to try and set up an organized set of stops for candidates for the state, for Deidre and then for Christina Bohannon, where they took it from their schedulers. They're going to go here, 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 here. In 2 days, you know, you've hit 4 counties and it's all organized for you. We did that a little bit. I thought it went well. They came to like it. It was difficult to coordinate, especially with state ones who were trying to be everywhere at once. But I thought that was worth trying again. It did seem like it helped with the scheduling. The other thing that I thought was pretty effective was having an office. I found in my county, people really have no idea that there even are Democrats. Where we are, the off the wall request for signs I was getting from people, like, you know, somebody from the other side of the state would be like, oh, somebody in Norwalk asked me because they know me, they want, you know, signs. They didn't know where to come, you know, so they just asked the first Democrat they knew was a Democrat. And there was a lot of that. There were a lot, and some of it's people are just lazy. They want a fast answer, easy answer. But I think having an office helped a lot. And I think we're going to try for the next 2 years to maybe run an ad at least once a month in the local papers, just on anything. This is what we've got coming up. I hope we have incumbents to be able to say, hey, this is what they did. But partly just to tell them about the things we have coming up, and also just that we are here, this is what we're doing. This is an email address that you can contact and get it lodged in their brain before it's an election season and they're like, I don't know what to do. Those are the two things that worked well. Door knocking, I don't know, was disappointing. It felt, we had a lot of good reactions and we were really hopeful. I don't know if we thought we were going to win, but we thought we were going to be much closer than we ended up being, based on the reactions that we were getting. And then I don't know if they were lying to us or lying to the pollsters or what, but things did not match up when we actually got to elections. And that's kind of what I have. Thanks.
Thank you, James. All right, Candela, you're up again.
I just want to follow up with everyone mentioning texting. One of the things that I found that worked was when I was doing phone calls from a van list or a Secretary of State list. If I got voicemail, I did also text them. And then I just copy pasted that text message to the next one and the next one and the next one. And so even when we were doing phone banking, we were combination text banking, and I more often got responses with text. So I want to just kind of ditto the texting, but just add that as another layer of you can add texting to your phone bank.
Thank you. And Travis?
Okay, I'm gonna be the negative Nelly. I blocked every text I got because I got it from the Republican Party. I didn't think it was fun. So if I did not know the person, I blocked it. I know several people that did that down here in Fremont County. And so, texting's fine, but with as many scams as there are and opening up a text, you don't know who it's from. And so somehow we need to get a little emoji maybe or something so that, well, but then they'll copy that too. And I don't mean to be negative.
Well, I think the one of the programs that Candela was talking about was the one where you just send to people in your contacts that you know.
Okay, but Barb, I got from people I didn't know. If you open a text and it is contaminated, you know.
I know. I understand.
So I think that's why people in Fremont County, we just wiped them out.
No, actually, with all the fundraising texts, texts I did not like, but that's just me right now. So Mary McAdams has her hand up now. Thank you, Ann.
And when you open up a text, if there's anything illicit in there, the only way you could download a virus is if you click on a link. Just opening up a text is not going to do anything, but if you click on a link, that could happen. With regards to what Candela said, we painstakingly, so as I said, we had like 14,000 Democrats in Ankeny. We bought Hustle. We hustled 6,000. And then we had to phone bank the rest, right? But we looked at each other and we kept saying, I think this is a cell phone. I'm going to try and I'm going to send him a text. And I would say 40% of the next 7,000 people that we had to reach out to, we shot them a text first. It was a cell phone number. So we painstakingly went into Van and updated Van as verified cell, whereas before it said likely cell, likely not a cell, landline. I mean, it's got all these different designations. We texted them, they texted back. They said, for sure, we're going to vote on election day. We do it as a family. I know the text went through and I know it was the person I was deliberately trying to contact. So we painstakingly went in and updated Van from likely not a cell to verified cell. After we did all of that work, and this took us weeks, because we were chasing ABRs, I went in and I texted Macklin and I said, are these changes that we just made gonna stick? And he said, God, I hope so. And he said, just in case, he sent me a file. Now, I haven't clicked on that link, so I don't know what's in that file, and I certainly don't know what I would even know what to do with that if Macklin goes away. But we went in and we edited from unlikely, likely not a cell to verified cell. And I'll tell you, we did our best to clean up Ankeny's phone banks this time. Also, I have to tell you, www.that'sthem, when there is no cell phone, there is no landline, there is no email. There's a free website out there called that'sthem.com. You get 20 free look, and it's outstanding, by the way, you guys. It was on every single time, 100% correct phone numbers. And you get 20 free a day. If you start a free account, you get another 20. So anyways, that's all I got.
Hey, Mary, this is Jackie. Can you explain to everyone who Macklin is? I'm not sure that everyone on here would necessarily know the name.
Iowa Democratic Party Data Director.
Do you have their phone, the phone number or the email that you could paste into the chat for everybody? Because Macklin is a good contact. I probably have it. Macklin is a good contact, and that is
Yep.
not one that was ever given to us as
Yep.
county chairs, where they said, "Hey, here's someone you can contact if you need help."
He took over a lot of Blair's responsibilities, and he's the Van data master. He's young, he's smart, he's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good resource, Jackie. Somebody put that in there.
Macklin Sheldrup.
No one can say his last name.
Okay, then I've got the email and I'll put it in the chat.
Okay. Vicky, your hand is up.
I just kind of want to ask a rhetorical question about texting. I'll have to be honest with you, I'm really frustrated with the Democratic Party right now for selling my cell phone number. I am still getting 10 to 15 text messages a day for fundraising from all over the United States. And I think it irritates people. And so every time I get a text, I'm kind of like Ann, I just block it. And it's unfortunate. I don't know if it's coming from my local candidates or the state party. I'm just so sick of getting them. I just block them all. And I wonder how many people feel like I do.
I sign my texts with my personal name, my text to my county people. I don't know how anybody else is, but I sign them with my name, or I sign them with Adams County Democrats. And I always respond so people know it's me. I don't know. And I would say to you, Vicky, that it's not the Iowa Democratic Party that's selling your number. Van is a nationwide database, and people buy into it to get information out of it. But I do have county people. I think somebody else said that. I have county people who ask me not to give their number to the Iowa Democratic Party.
And I truthfully, I have access to Van, and I'm tempted to go in there and remove my own contact information because I'm so sick of getting these. So sorry, I'm kind of the negative Nelly with Ann.
Okay. Kim Callahan has her hand up.
Hi, this is Kim Callahan. I'm in Polk County. I kind of just wanted to weigh in on the texting conversation. And just for context, I'm 52 years old. So I have a 22-year-old and I have a 15-year-old. So that's just sort of like where I am on the whole smartphone technology thing. I appreciated the texts, and I could often determine that they were coming from local people. Somehow I got on Republican threads and I was getting photos of Herschel Walker and all kinds of other crap. No disrespect. But when I got text messages about local candidates or from people that looked local, I often just responded with text messages because, like Mary McAdams said, unless you click on a link, just getting a text is not harmful necessarily. So I kind of appreciated that because I'm probably not going to pick up my phone, but I will respond to a text message. I will say, hey, I've already voted, or hey, I'm going to vote, or yes, I'm on board, because I'm also figuring I'm doing some volunteer a favor by saying, hey, I hear you. Thank you for doing the work. Yeah, you can cross me off your list. So I kind of just wanted to weigh in on the texting thing from a voter perspective, and I thought that was helpful.
Thank you, Kim. And actually,
Yep.
It's just another tool. You know, we have all
is.
these other tools. This is one that works for some people or that will hit some voters and maybe not others, but hopefully we have enough tools in our toolbox that everybody is going to get contacted. Okay, so I don't see any more hands, but I did want to sort of summarize, which that's not going to be very easy. We heard a lot about phone banking and door knocking and ads and some other things. Okay, so what now? What now? We're looking at a legislature that at the state that is going to probably first day put in vouchers. There are so many issues that we feel strongly about, and this is where I want Pat, as her experience being a candidate. We had been talking this week about, I look at Pat, I look at Jan Norris, who is so invested in this pipeline issue, that there is, that is a crosses all parties. That is not Democrat, Republicans. It is a focused group that is trying to prevent eminent domain from taking our land and for taking our land in Iowa. So think about that for a minute. Judy Kading has her hand up, and then I'm going to ask Pat Shipley to kind of talk about what we had talked about earlier today, and think about issues that we could do the same thing with. Okay, Judy.
Well, thank you for having this meeting, and thanks for hosting. We have been talking about in Adair County about the need for issue advocacy, because we aren't going to have very many legislators who are going to be helping us out. So the first issue that we're taking up to advocate on is the vouchers, because we've found that it resonates with both Republicans and independents, as well as Democrats. So we've started a petition drive that's basically saying public dollars belong in public schools. It's got more rhetoric than that. I can send copies to anybody who wants them, but we're starting a petition drive, and we are going to direct that to Ray Bubba Sorensen, our House representative, saying that we want to encourage him to do what he did last year, which is he was very coy. He didn't ever come out with a yes or a no on vouchers. He was one of those folks that didn't want to be identified either way. So we want to encourage him to do that again. And we want him to have a piece of paper in his hand with signatures from people that he can show Pat Grassley, and he can show the governor that people in his county who vote for him or not are not in agreement with the vouchers. So that's one thing. We're trying to get this petition around to independents, Republicans. It's a nonpartisan issue. The second thing we're doing in this area that we're going to talk about doing is yard signs saying public dollars belong in public schools. And some of you have seen those kinds of yard signs. And I've been looking into some sources, and I think I can get some pretty decent yard signs for between $5 and $6. And so what we're hoping is to give other counties in the 3rd district the opportunity to also do petition drives, and maybe we'll get you some information in case you want to go in with us on signage, because the signage costs less when you can get up to 400 or 500 signs. I think, to me, what we're going to have to do is what the Republicans are doing: be organized. All of us get on board with some actions that we can all stand behind, so that that's what the Republicans are doing. They're so organized, and they all come out with the same rhetoric, the same positions. And there are a few things that we can do that on too. So that's all I've got to say.
Yeah, thank you, Judy. That leads right into, myself, I had been thinking about, okay, we have this issue, which is education. Some people may have expertise in keeping our healthcare critical access. That might be their thing. I don't know how many things we can have going, but we are a large group. If there are people that can work together and focus, like my focus, I would be wanting to do what you're doing, Judy, with getting the education. That's near and dear to probably all of us. And it touches everything, childcare, everything. So
I'm
anyway,
sorry to
yeah.
interrupt you, Barb, but I don't think we should look. I'm down in a 4th district, not by.
Oh yeah, we're not
I
limiting
know,
this.
but I mean, she said 3rd district. I think we should take everyone that's in the bottom quadrant of Iowa and do issue-based. I think this is the way we have to go. So I would, Fremont County, even though I'm not the chair, I'm a nobody because I'm on city council, would like to be included. Thank you.
And that's the thing we need to keep. This is not, Southwest Collaborative is not just CD3. We have had established relationships with the Fremont County and other counties that are no longer with us. So whoever wants to be a part of this is a part of it. So is Pat Shipley, did you have something to add to this?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Bottom line, folks, education is one of the pieces we're going to have to get on immediately. And I don't mean wait until after Christmas. I mean now. I'm an ISEA retired person, even though I was a staff person for ISEA. They're asking people to contact their legislators right now. I do know because I went to every single school administrator in House District 17 when I was campaigning and asked them what their primary issue was. The primary issue was public money for public schools. There is not a single school administrator or board, for that matter, that is interested in whatsoever having any kind of public money diverted to private. And I will tell you, frankly, in my opinion, Amy Sinclair, as president of the Senate, is going to try to get all of it for homeschool as well as for the private schools. It will not be $5,000. It will be higher than that because they're going to go for the gold. So I think that's a piece you can reach out to the school administrators, reach out to whomever is in your communities that will, and the board members. That's an easy coalition. They are not going to support public money for private entities. So that's another piece. That's a piece. The other piece that I think all of us can rally about, we saw the article in the Des Moines Register regarding Keokuk closing their hospital. All of us who live in areas where we have county hospitals, I think rural health care is a huge issue. Mental health is a huge issue, is another piece that is across whatever the political persuasion is. Those two things are ideally issues that should be nonpartisan. The only reason that Reynolds didn't push for it last year is she knew she did not have enough votes in the House. The House has a supermajority also, not just the Senate. They have never been in this situation previously. So we got to hit pretty darn fast. The House districts are the most vulnerable if they just got elected. Well, all of them just got elected, but the Senate, the ones particularly that are going to be up for re-election in 2024 are vulnerable. So it's trying to get that pressure put on them. Sadly, if they don't feel enough pressure, they're going to do whatever they darn well please in a whole bunch of elements, not just in mental health, women's health, voter rights, all of that. But I think education and healthcare are two that sort of cross boundaries. And that's where the whole idea of doing issue organizing becomes the key element to this. This is what we've tried to do through the education community for a number of years. And I think that's where we need to put our energies at this point and recruit candidates. Just saying, nobody should be running without opposition. I don't care. I was a sacrificial lamb. I knew that going in. Did I like doing that? No, but I did it. And have been around a while. So I guess the piece of it is we just have to have folks that are willing to step up to the plate and put their name out there. We ran a campaign on about $6,000, all of it donated by individuals. So we couldn't do the flashy ads like the Republicans did, but we didn't spend $18,000 on a Senate district either. So that's the piece, folks. Anyway, I'm preaching to the choir, friends, but there we go. That's my 2 cents for the evening.
But that is very good. Now, I like how Judy has started this issue. This is one issue that I really think we should, I agree. Who wants to work with Judy? I mean, we are a wide coalition here. And I like the idea of getting right now, talk to board members, but we kind of in an organized way, not kind of, with what are the points? What are we going to be saying to them? I like the petition idea. Somebody put in here that the Iowa School Board Association's conference is this week. We should get this announcement out to the conference. Chris Henning, can we do that?
I don't know how you're going to do that. That becomes a real issue. This is contacting your local school district, your local school boards, your local superintendents. Get that relationship with them. I was very surprised considering my background as a union advocate. They were very open to me coming and talking to them, and they laid it out on the table. And I had one superintendent say, I had 8 things. You hit six of the 8 that I wanted to talk about, Pat. So we have far more in common than we have in opposition. So we got to go look, because there are others out there that would be willing to support. So.
Okay, so Anne has her hand up, and then Chris. I would suggest that people put their name with education beside it if you are willing to join with Judy and trying to get this done. We do want, I think if you send a copy of the petition to Jackie or me, somebody, we could distribute it to the mailing list. And your hand is up.
I'm sorry, I was typing on the chat. I happen to have a nice list of retired teachers in Southwest Iowa that I could send a message to, because it's education.
Yep.
374 to be exact.
See, and that's if like Pat said, and Judy has this petition, if we each go to our school boards and give them the message, call them and say, or ask them to sign the petition. I don't know how you're handling that, but it would be kind of nice to have a small group get together and do this instead of having everybody have to be a part of it if they don't want to at this point.
Barb, Devin Wood, who was Pat Shipley's opponent, is a former student of mine.
Right.
Who believes in public education. And
we'll
you need to contact her and tell her that Cecil Dolachek voted for 15% of the education bills. And it's all right for her to move away from the Republican Party on something that she believes in as a young female. And it's public education. Her mother's a public educator.
Right. But she's a Republican, and the pressure that's going to be put on her, we'll see. I'm really hopeful. Chris Henning has her hand up. We're going to have to wrap it up. It is after 7, but Chris Henning and then Judy one more time. And then what other issues you guys want to wrap up with? That's kind of where we are. Chris Henning. Well, Judy,
Chris?
why don't you talk? I don't see, maybe Chris is away from the computer right now.
Okay, I would suggest, because I think it's the House membership that's going to be under the pressure, that we organize ourselves in House districts. If you would work with your other, the other county in your House district on these petitions, then you can coordinate delivering the petitions to your representative. Maybe you'll want to go to the legislature. They gavel in January 9th, get a couple people from each county and take those petitions into the legislature and photo op and get that in your county newspapers. No, that's one way. Your counties can decide how you want to do this. I'm happy to share the petition. You send me an email. I put my email in the chat. It's judykading@yahoo.com. It's in the chat, JUDYKADING@yahoo.com. But rather than trying to coordinate it across the 3rd district, that's a little unwieldy. If we would coordinate it through our House districts.
The petition is, yes, and the petition is one step of it. If we had a list of, this is what each county needs to do, this is what we're recommending, so that it's like an organized effort that every House district is doing this, or that every community is at least talking to their school boards and their superintendents. So Amy Stickrod said she would be interested in working on this, as would how about we email.
So Barb,
Yes.
Mike Holden, who was on our school board for about 14 years, just ran for supervisor, and he's here and he has a couple of suggestions how we might do something yet this week. And I'm going to step aside, and he's behind me here. Hopefully you can hear him.
Okay.
Starting with Thursday, I believe it's a Wednesday afternoon and Thursday.
You might have to get a little closer, but not too close.
I stay back there. It'd scare people if we got too close. This week is the Iowa Association of School Boards State Conference in Des Moines. Somebody needs to contact IASB. And they have all these school boards from the state and make those announcements at their conference this week about this petition, and maybe have the contact information. On that, it's a big conference.
Yeah, and I'm not hearing the best. Can you send comments to Judy Kading? And Judy, I'm going to have you be a repository of people. You can send it. We have an email list of everybody on here, but we do know that Amy and Ann Travis.
Someone will contact IASB during their conference. I'm sure they would make that announcement that we need to engage statewide to do this. And you're going to hit all of the schools and administrators Wednesday afternoon, Thursday, and Friday morning.
Can you talk to Judy Kading? Can you somehow get his contact information so she can figure out how to do what you're suggesting?
We'll put our contact info here, and Judy, we have yours, and I've saved the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. This was the steps. Thank you, Candela, for putting that in there. All right, we'll save that. People can save that chat. Will it be saved on the?
You can
does
save
everybody
it.
have to-
Everybody can save their own chat, but Barb, I am also saving the chat, and I can combine them with Heidi's notes and then
That
send
would
them
be
out
great.
to everybody who's here. So we'll have all
Yeah.
this information.
That would be
Candela,
great.
thank you for writing down those steps, because this is our next step, which started last Wednesday. So we're already a week behind.
And don't wait. It's kind of like, oh, we got to get everything planned out first. Go ahead and call your superintendent. Go ahead and call people now. You don't have to have a petition to walk in and do that. You can just call them right now and say, hey, we're concerned. This is going to come. And you need to take a stand against it, or tell them what we're working on. We're going to be trying to get people to oppose it.
And you all have probably some yard signs still in your garage that you could paint over and put that put that slogan on it.
Sure.
Yeah. That's right. Now that's kind of, we'll send out the minutes, we'll send out notes that anyone's taken. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to say before we sign off here? Judy Kading does.
On another topic, I would encourage us to think about organizing on the basis of Senate districts. Any Senate district where you did not elect a senator this time around, where you have a senator coming up in 2 years, I would certainly encourage you to do what we're going to do. Amy Sinclair is our senator in Senate District 12. And there are 6 counties, and I've talked to 4 of the other chairs, and we've decided that we're going to begin a Senate search committee. And we are not going to leave it up to chance, to see that we find somebody to run against Amy Sinclair, or more than one somebody's. That's only one piece of it. The second piece is I'm going to encourage the counties to understand that we have to commit to providing resources to whoever wants to run. We need to commit to providing money. We need to commit to providing time. We need to commit to going with that candidate to knock on doors. We need to be supportive. And so I would like to see us go back to basics and do whatever it takes to start looking at taking back the legislature. And we're going to particularly focus on the Senate district, but also on the House. We don't particularly need Bubba the rock painter in 2 years either, but to make a very intentional effort, organizing smaller groups, the small groups of counties that are in a Senate district, the small group, the 2-3 counties that are in a House district, start working together to find those candidates now, not in May, not in 2 years, but now. That's all I've got to say.
Okay, this is what I need to say before we quit is we have not come up with when we're going to meet again. Thanks, Jim. You're volunteering to lead it next time, Jim? Is that what you're doing? Yeah, you're on mute, Jim. Anyway, we would definitely like somebody who would. Jim, did you have something to say?
I have something to say if I can get it unmuted.
You got it.
Okay. In response to Judy Kading, I'm from Lucas County. We have the pleasure of having Amy as our senator, and Lucas County is a lot closer to where she lives. I like the idea of organizing by Senate districts. We have a lady here in Lucas County that has for several years wanted to run against Amy. Her name is Nicole Lowe. She is a high degree nurse. I think she works for VA doing research. She's kind of backed off. She had another child and then COVID, but she has been very interested in running against Amy.
Okay, thank you, Jim and Judy. That's great. Now, will somebody volunteer to do what I did, which is not hard because you can visit with a lot of us who think I think we're going to have to revisit these issues, the school thing and whatever else is coming up. at our next meeting.
You're
Would
looking for a
somebody
volunteer to
care-
be the facilitator for the next
That's
meeting?
it.
Do we have a volunteer? Don't everybody raise your hands at once? Ah,
Candela?
Candela.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the thing.
Yeah, we got you there, Candela. You volunteer?
Yeah, I'll volunteer to host it,
Okay,
to facilitate. I would like one of you really smart people who've been in this longer than I have to help me create an agenda,
yeah, yeah.
please.
And people send your ideas to Candela if there's something. I'm thinking the state legislature and this education issue, if we get this off the ground and everybody's focused on this, there may be other issues that everybody says we need to have a coalition and working on as well.
Hey, Barb,
Yes.
I want to affirm what Kim Callahan said about Interfaith Alliance. Interfaith Alliance, I'm on their action board, actually. So I would encourage you to get tuned into Interfaith Alliance, Iowa. The email address is there. There's two sides of that, but it's also how to engage not only community members, but the faith community in helping, and education is a huge piece of what they're doing. So I would encourage you to tune in to interfaithallianceiowa.org. There's a whole lot of information on there. So please do that, put that on your list of things to take a look at. There's lots and lots of resources on there, and there's something on Monday and there's also something on Friday almost every week that deals with education, with students, with voter rights, all of that. So just I want to affirm what Kim put on there.
Thank you. I just now saw that. And Candela.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is Kim. Thank you, Pat, for saying that. A lot of their stuff is also online. So people can get, yeah, people can join from anywhere. Some of it is hybrid, but a lot of it is online. So thank you, Pat, for lifting that up, because they are a really good community partner. And they also know a lot about organizing.
And
so I heard a lot of
Connie-
people lift
Connie
up
Ryan
organizing.
is a rock star. Connie Ryan is a rock star.
She is a rock star. She just spoke at my West Side Debs meeting the other night and talking about, just before the election, she was talking about the gun amendment, and she's fantastic. She's a phenomenal lobbyist and advocate. So I really would encourage people to tap in. You can learn so much. So thank you, Pat, for lifting that up. They are a great resource.
Yes, they are.
The other thing that was in the chat, Candela, is something that maybe would be of interest to have is Jan has a pipeline presentation prepared, and I'm happy to present to any group who will have her. So if this is a group who wants it, or if you all know, have a community group that needs to educate themselves about what this pipeline is, what's the big deal. It is a big deal, and you can contact Jan Norris. But Candela, that's also a resource for a possible agenda. Okay. Anything else for the good of the
When is our next
company?
meeting?
Oh, yeah, it's not, we need to set it. Good. It cannot be, this is a bad night apparently, because like a lot of people have their county meetings.
Hey, Barb, Jim
Yes.
Medford is trying to get your attention.
Where is he? Oh, hi, Jim.
He needs to unmute though, Jim. Hey,
Yeah.
buddy, you need to unmute.
Okay.
There you go, Jim.
I realize that education is the most important, but I think there's two issues that really are maybe beyond our discussing at this time. The governor has politicized what is a very good nonpartisan, non-political court system by changing the makeup of the court commissions. And I've gotten snarky response to my state senator on that a couple of years ago. I'm now kind of afraid that she has politicized the Iowa Attorney General's office, the Department of Justice.
I think so too. I'm afraid of that.
Say, Jim, can you put your email in the chat and your phone number in the chat?
I'll try.
Like contact you?
Sure, I'll try. I can't even find the chat button right now.
Okay,
Oh.
down below, there's a pop-up menu. If you put your cursor over it, it
I
should
don't
be
see a
chat.
pop. Wait a minute. I
I
didn't.
should have gone, I'm sorry. I
Jim, are
should
you
have gone.
jamesmedford@gmail.com?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll put it in the
But
chat.
I'll give you my cell.
Okay.
Do you want my cell?
Sure.
Yeah,
515-229-3189.
Thank you.
That's easier than finding the chat button.
Okay.
thanks a lot, Jim.
Yes, thank you, Jim.
Okay, so this is a Tuesday night. That apparently is a lot of counties have their county meetings that night. And I'm thinking we should, I don't know how often do we usually meet? Every other month? Or are we going to need to meet like in January is what I'm thinking.
We've tended to go every other month.
Yeah.
Maybe small groups that wanted to coordinate around education or the pipeline.
Yes.
Judges, whatever, could meet, more frequently on their own.
Right. If there's an interest like that, contact each other and get that. And we have, if you need emails, just contact Jan, or she has the email list, I believe.
And you all would have gotten my email. I would have gotten my email. Well, you'll get it anyway. I'm going to send you a follow-up email tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. And there's
get it.
Jan's contact information in here. So
What about
Jackie's gonna
Wednesday?
save the
What about
chat.
Wednesday, January 11th?
That's what I was looking at. Wednesday, January 11th.
That's 2 days after the legislature gavels in. Do we want to meet before the legislature gavels in, or do we care?
I think afterwards is fine. I think January 4th would be, I don't know.
A good time.
Let's aim for January 4th then, and maybe we'll all be
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah. January 4th. When do they gavel
This is
in?
Kim Callahan. It's like somebody said earlier, our work started on November 9th. So
Yeah,
let's not
right.
wait, right?
Right. So
January
I'm
4th,
good
does
for-
6 work? Does 7 work? What works best for people? Was this too early, or was this a good time since it's winter?
6 is too early. 6:30.
6:30. Is that better, Karen? Or whoever said that? Judy? Oh, and
Jan
Jan
does-
has a pipeline call every Wednesday from 6 to 7.
Ooh,
Definitely, so probably 7.
So maybe 7.
Wednesdays seem to be the only nights to avoid county meetings, games, everything. All right, we'll just aim for it and see what happens.
7 o'clock on Wednesday. Which Wednesday did we come to?
The 4th.
4th.
4th. Okay.
We're already a week behind, right? So we're good.
January 4th. 7 o'clock. And that'll come in the minutes or the notes that Jackie sends out as well. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Barb, can I add something? With Christmas programs coming up at school, we should have the petitions so that we can have parents sign, because they love seeing their kids in a public school doing those silly Christmas programs, and they wouldn't want Kim to take them away.
Will they let you come in and do that?
We did for city council when we did a grant. I mean, if the superintendent will support us in organizing to stop vouchers for private schools, I'm sure you'll let us do it.
Go
You
Ann.
mean go
I
into the
will.
concert?
Well, yeah, you're sitting there waiting and say, hey, parents, well, can you sign this? Because we want to keep the money in Fremont County for our public schools.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think anything like that we have Santa Lucia and Stanton. I don't know how that would work, but you know.
Yeah.
It's public, it's people
Yeah.
like public schools.
Right. Thank you.
Good idea. Okay. Anybody else? Or we're going to adjourn here.
Good to see all your
Thank you, everybody.
faces.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in
night.
January, not before.
Care.
Bye-bye.
Safe holidays.
Yes.